Welcome to Straight Talk with Alyssa Thorne, and I'm here today with my fun, spunky, intelligent, witty Phil Gerbyshak. And I don't know if I said that last name correctly because it's a doozy.
Close enough. It's Gerbyshak.
Yes, I knew you would do it for me. Anyways, I love having you on because you get what it talks about when we tie into social media, that it's relationship building, that it is more than just social media. It's all about the connection and building those rapport. So as we were just briefly talking before we hit the live button, I decided and I asked if it would be okay to talk about why we need to treat social media, marketing, and these types of things as a business and not like a hobby. So I'd love to hear your comments on that, and then we're going to get into some more juicy things that I was previously talking about and how we can tie this all together.
Sure. So, anything that you do to try to grow your business needs to be done purposefully. It's really simple. You need to plan. You need to have a system. You need to do it, work it, adjust. You need to measure, and you need to let other people know what the heck is going on. Because if you don't, right, what we end up with is a big mess. Or worse, we end up with no results. And no results, right, that's wasting time. So we need to make sure that we have some sort of strategy in place, and we need to make sure that people understand what the heck that strategy is, so that if we're asking for help, we can plug people in. Because without that, it's like, hey, can you help me? Absolutely, I've got time. Great. Well, just do that. It's like, what the heck? And that doesn't work.
So as you know, we've talked about, I do a lot of producing and directing, and I go to a lot of charity events and functions, and because I'm a social person. I love being around people like you. We are just people. We are people. We like people. And I'm known as the fire girl because it seems that whenever I'm a guest at a function and when things are kind of not going like a business and they're going as a hobby, it tends to be quite chaotic instead of something where someone can really enjoy themselves. So I kind of really wanted to get people to understand that whether you're running a charity event, when you're running even a meetup, I don't care if it's a meetup, I don't care if it's a charity.org or a foundation, I don't care what it is, that we need to understand, we need to step up to that next level and make it professional. Like you say, if there is no plan, if that person doesn't have a run sheet or a call sheet, the person who's emceeing, and if there's not like a timeline of an event, and if you don't, now here's the key, right? Because we're going to get into this. Sticking to the timeline. If you have someone on stage, you know this, at the Globals, the Emmys, right? They actually have in their headset, they're going, okay, you got X amount of minutes. And when they're running over, what happens? They play the music, right? If you don't stick to some sort of timeline, and that goes to goal setting, outcome setting, event setting, putting together anything that's regarding social media marketing, any sort of plan, if there's not some sort of timeline and you don't stick to that timeline, and hold other people accountable to that timeline, you're going to get a hobby result. So I'd love for you to, I know you're just like this fountain of wisdom with tips and tools and resources. How would you go about sharing some tips and tools and resources for people to get them to understand what tips and tools, like literally resources that they can implement to actually help them perform at that level?
Yeah, well, at the most simple level, a pen and a piece of paper is a great tool. You know, I'm a big Moleskine guy. I've got tons and tons of notebooks. I've got in fact, if I look over, I've got a whole tote full of empty notebooks that I plan to fill with information. So that's the first thing, is just, put it down, write it down, and put dates on it, quite simply. But if we want to be, more techie, if we want to complicate it a little bit, but maybe offer it for other people, a simple checklist, like a Wonder List or AnyDo, fantastic tools for you. But as you get, a little bit larger, you need some sort of project management tool, be it a Basecamp, or I've played with, I think it's a Trello. They're great tools for you. But the key is you want the tool to work for you, not you to have to work for the tool. So figure out, check out a couple of them and see, does this do what pen and paper could do, except now it's distributed amongst the whole project team without a lot of training? Because most people, if they can't pick it up and use it, they're not going to. Any platform that requires too much understanding, if you will. Too much thinking means that's a hindrance, and I don't have that kind of bandwidth in my brain. And even if I say yes, I might really mean no. So we have to really be careful of that.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I recently was part of a project where they weren't using, I'm not going to say which platform, however, they weren't using Basecamp, they were using something else, and it was so convolutedly complicated. Not everyone's technical savvy. I'm I'm very creative. I'm great with visuals and graphics and that type of thing. And I'm good technology-wise, not complex technology. That's why I have a team. I delegate that. It's like you build, I'll design the websites for clients. I'll help brand. I'll help do this. I'll put together events, whatever. However, when it comes to actual implementation of the design and coding, I don't do that, right? So you're right. If we put people into systems that are going to be really complex and complicated, you're going to lose business because they're going to turn away from you. And two, let's say you do give them a task, it's not going to get completed because they're not going to understand how to even get into the system to do the checklist, to say, hey, I did this, or whatever it is. So know your assets. If you're technically savvy, that may be great for you. You might also want to find something simpler. I can even dumb down one more, and I don't like that language. It's again, for people that are not technical savvy, Google Docs is a great way to bring people into a Google Doc and go, hey, this is what we're working on, and everyone can go into the Google Doc and type, right? So that may be something that's so simplistic, and that's just an add-on to your Google, to your station on Google, if you will. So explore. We have internet, the plethora of free information, right? Go on Google and look for simplified systems or whatever, simplified group systems, whatever it is. I do like Basecamp, by the way. I find it very simplistic to use, and I've had really good results with that. And a couple of my projects that I'm working on, their companies actually use that. So I also use Google Docs a lot, just because I know how simplistic it is for people to just go click and they're in there and they, what have you. So what are some other tools that you find has been really helpful in simplifying? And as a word I like to use is blueprinting, because what we are talking about in essence is we need to get people to understand you need to create that blueprint, that system, so that when people come play with you, whether they're JVing with you or they're coming to speak on your teleseminar or even guest blogging, I don't care what it is. I have a system for these Hangouts. I have a whole page on my website that says exactly what happens, what someone needs to do. There's links to a more specific page. So what are some other tools that you like to use for blueprinting?
Well, you mentioned the Google Docs, and I would say Google Docs is a great option because it's a simple spreadsheet. It's line by line by line, cell by cell, very simple, very easy. I don't like to complicate things. In fact, I'll tell you, my girlfriend is way better at systems than I am. So often leaning on her, she's going to do a great job of putting that system together, and I can run through it with that. But again, simpler for me is always better. So I think about, okay, so what am I trying to achieve? And then I'm going to break it down into as manageable of chunks as I can. So easy chunks, things as small as possible. Even though it seems like a lot, it's great to have that. Now, people that are more whiz kids, they don't maybe need that, right? You can send me a link to a Google Hangout and I understand what to do, but it's okay if people can't. And we have to know who is our audience, right? Who are we talking to here? If this is for my mom, I love her, but she is not always going to get what I understand about technology. So I have to respect that. If I want mom's help, I have to say it in a way that mom can understand it. And so that's really important. I would say, any tool can work for you. But again, I just can't stress enough. The tool should work for you. You shouldn't have to work for it. If it takes you too much time to do it, don't do it. Start with big picture, break it down as small as possible, and then, and then distribute it, and then check back, follow up, make sure that people understand, offer some training if need be. But often if it's intuitive and they can get it, they're going to be a much greater adoption than if it's difficult.
So we talked a little bit earlier, you and I always do a pre-call, kind of like brainstorming before we jumped in. And we're talking about there's so many platforms out there, and we're trying to tell people to go simple. So And I'm not going to get into all the different platforms that are out there, so I don't want to just say one's not good or worthy of or what have you. However, from our terminologies and the way that you and I work and simplify, and also having that systems in place for others, what would you say to people that are like always wanting to get in the latest and next new thing, right? So there's always new platforms coming up, the Periscopes come up, or, there's so many other video streaming services besides, Google Plus. What would you say to the person who's constantly wanting to get onto the next it?
Well, if you haven't figured out how to use the platform that you're on to reach your audience, you probably should take some more time to see, is it even possible? My audience, I can tell you, sometimes they can't get to Google Plus or they can't see a YouTube video. So sometimes I might need to use Vimeo. I might need to use Wistia. I need to use something else. Or, like I said, instead of jumping to the latest and greatest thing, though certainly that's my job to do that. People count on me to test out the new things. Unless that's your job, again, that tech has got to work for you. It can't be you working for it. So hang tight, right? What am I trying to achieve here? Maybe a new platform does have features that aren't available on the old platform. For instance, I like the fact that Google Plus and the Google videos go automatically to YouTube. I think that's fantastic. But some people say, I want to be able to edit that before it goes out. Well, then Google Plus, even if you love it, might not be that right tool for you. So, think about, what are my outcomes? What am I really trying to achieve here? Can my audience use it? That's the other thing. Before you go jump into a new platform, I think Blab could be a really cool tool, but my audience is business owners and people who are not technically savvy. Certainly I can meet a ton of collaborators on there, people that I can do joint venture with, people that I can bring on my show, that you can bring on your show, things like that. But my customers, the people that are going to pay me to be smart, aren't there yet. So while it's great to play, we also have to sometimes work. We have to make money. So don't get distracted by new and shiny. If you're old and dusty works fine, stay with it. If you don't know how to use it, get training. But eventually it's about your customers. It's not about you. It's not about what you want. Unless truly all your customers are just like you, in which case then you're the one-eyed person in the land of the blind, and that's okay.
So I love the phrase that you just brought up, and you and I have a friend called Bob Burke who uses this terminology a lot, is it's always about the customer. And there's so many other speakers that do say that. And I encourage everyone to read The Go-Giver, by the way, because it'll actually literally go into all of that. It's so important to realize it is never about us. We may think it's about us. It's never about us. It's always about our customer and their experience that they're having. So I want to go back to what you said about the shiny new, because I'm really stoked that you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that, oh yeah, this is out here and this is here, so let me do this. And what the thing is, you can only be on so many platforms and do them well. Now, you and I, we're probably on oh my God, almost every platform where there is, right? Because we have to, we're tinkering, we're playing, we're educating, we're training people on, hey, this might be good for you, this might be good for you. I want to go back to how you and I are doing this, and you brought up editing. So, and you also brought up the fact that some people can't get to YouTube. So I have my own blueprint that I do things on Google Hangout. I don't have them go live. I have it kick into YouTube. I do edit it, and then I reload it onto YouTube. Here's the thing. Then I also upload it. So this is what you're talking about. You need to be there for your audiences, right? So how do you do that? It maybe takes an hour to do this, and you can assign it to someone to do this for you. I do edit it, put it back up on YouTube, but then I download it to the desktop. I have my PA download it. And I'm sorry, my assistant, PA is my production assistant, and virtual assistant is more business, all these different language and initials. But the point is, then they have them uploaded to Vimeo. So now that video is also on Vimeo for a client. Now, you and I are talking. Some people are audio. We need to think beyond us. In other words, we were talking about us being creative. We're visual. We're not techies, right? There's some people that are audio that don't want to see. They want to hear. So then we take the voice out. We rip the audio. Now you have a podcast. Now, where do you put that podcast? You have an iTunes stream, right? An embed. You can put it on Blog Talk Radio like I do. Then I put it on Spreaker, and I have a channel on iHeartRadio. The point is, like you said, where are your customers? Whatever it is that you're creating, that content, you can take that content and rip it into all these little chunks and put it in those places so that everyone that is your customer can see it. So that means you don't have to be in the next shiny platform. You can still use your platform that you love. Like for me, it's Google Hangouts because Skype can be kind of glitchy at times. Although I do use Skype, I love it. It has its point and purpose. I like Google Hangouts because I then have the diversity of having it being my YouTube channel for me. So my editor can then go right into my YouTube channel, download it, edit it, put the front end graphics, the back end graphics, and then he can go blueprinting it out virally to the world, right? So I love the fact that you brought that up. Know who you are and also know where your audience is, and then take the time to put your content in those places.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, focus on the audience. Do what they need. Now, right now, my audience is very small, and I'm migrating to a new platform with my website. So for me right now, I'm okay with the fact that it's going to be on YouTube, because when I relaunch, I'm going to relaunch it completely big. So, and I can get other people to help me with that. To your point, Carly, finding an assistant that can do that, likely that's very technically proficient, that has time to do that, likely is going to be a better use of my resources than it is for me to do it myself.
Exactly. And I love it because, like you said, I mean, to me, YouTube is puppies, kittens, and music. It's not interviews like this. It is do it yourself, right? So there's a lot of those types of videos. So if someone says, hey, how do I do this? So it's a reason why I keep these videos up there. However, Vimeo is much more of a professional platform where people that are really looking for more professional interviews will go to. So I think it's important. So I have a Vimeo channel, and anything I do on YouTube, I download it and I upload it on Vimeo. But I think it's important that you know what type of customers you are. A lot of people that are really high-end professionals are not going to go to YouTube because for them, it's puppies, kittens, and music. It's not where I'm going to find a really eloquent speaker who's going to teach me about X. It may be like, okay, how do I do a Google Hangout, right? Okay, and I mean, Google is amazing and YouTube is amazing for finding all these how-to-do videos. I just know from experience, and I know you know this, clients that are more on a different, everyone's different, and so we have to honor that, and so we have to be where they're at.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself.
So I know we've talked about your spunkiness and how you use different color and why you do what you do. And I want you to bring it up, and I'll tell you why. Because what I'm tying in here with saying being where everyone is, I also want people to get that we all learn, listen, feel differently. So the multi-sensory is such an important factor in social media marketing, and too many people don't understand that. Like I said, visual learning, they want to see a face. Bill and I don't trip on each other now because I can see when his mind is percolating, so I can shut my mouth so he can talk. If I'm on a telephone line with him, I can't see his eyes or his body language to know that he's got an aha moment and he wants to share that. So, okay, Carly, be quiet, right? So I want you to share why you do your color thing, because I think it'll be helpful for people to understand that in honoring who you are and how you learn and how you process, and you going with that and then tying that into how we do that for others so they can then receive our message.
Sure. So, well, first of all, most people have one color of glasses. Most people often have black glasses, or maybe they have brown glasses, and they don't shift a lot in that, and that's okay. But I can tell you, I get people now who ask me, Phil, what color glasses are you wearing today? And that's because I purposely have different color glasses. First of all, I like that. I like color. Color makes me happy. It gives me energy. More energy for me means more energy that I can give to you. So today I've got the green ones on. Green is a money color. So have some meetings today, trying to, turn the corner, earn some business. Certainly did today. So it was a really good day. Talked to some great clients. Really, really excited. Green's that money color, helps kind of frame my brain and gives me kind of that right energy so that I'm in the right headspace. I've also got yellow glasses. Yellow for joy and for energy. and really out there. So a lot of Mondays, I like to wear my yellow glasses, and sometimes when I take, pictures, if you look at the little picture down in the lower third there of my video, you'll see those are yellow glasses. It's the first color people see, babies, first color they see. So I want it, boom, jumps at people. If you're looking at LinkedIn, right, and I'm wearing different colored glasses, I look different than anybody else out there. That's on purpose, right? In a sea of same, I like to be different. That's who I am. I am different. I'm not like everybody else. I'm a straight talker, and I'm going to give you it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat. So the third color really that kind of represents me is the orange, right? For passion, right? Not passion like in a bad way or in a sexual way, right? But passion like enthusiasm and a passion for helping people, and a little bit kind of that fire, right? I'm a fire sign. I'm a Sagittarius, and I'm not going to get deep into that because that's not my area of expertise, but I've read enough to understand that that's a color that I should embrace. So I do, and then sometimes, I'll sprinkle in a purple here and there because I really dig purple. That's a fun color for most of us. And purple really is a regal color. It's of royalty. So if I'm going to speak to a group of, bankers, I'll usually have purple and green. Those would be the two colors that I have because it just helps. And even if it's just mentally, right, it works. And I can tell you the key to any color is it has to work for you. Some people can't pull off green glasses. I'm not telling you I'm perfect, but some people can't. I can. I dig my green glasses. They work for me. I lean into it. I get it, and I share that. So figure out who the heck are you? What gives you the most energy? What makes you feel the best? And then bring it. Embrace it, own it, and let it be you. And your customers, your clients, your prospects, they'll all respond to what energy you give.
So what I love about you too is that as much as you say it's not my expertise or it's my niche, I've read enough. Underneath, I know that you intuitively get a lot of metaphysical, spiritual connections. A lot of people think I teach a lot about bridging the East and the West. So I teach a lot about metaphysics and feng shui and color marketing and why I never, like in my copy or pick quotes I'm creating, I never use black ink anymore. It's because we see black every day. So our brains don't even register anymore. It's like a muscle memory. We walk out of muscle memory. We read black ink and see black everywhere because it's printed everywhere. It's a muscle memory. When you use a different color ink like blue, your brain has to go, what is that? It's registering. It's actually having to read because it's foreign. It's not something that you see all the time. So I encourage people really to actually look into color marketing and a little bit of why the energy, like he was talking about, like actually it's really we have to have an offline conversation. What he's talking about also ties into the chakra. So the colors that he's talking about, which is a whole nother conversation which I'll be actually teaching about, which is multi-sensory and tying in the chakra colors and energy and actually into marketing, is exactly what he's talking about, which is what like I said, you intuitively know on another level, just hasn't registered. That's, that it's funny because a lot of us don't want to. It's like, okay, we're a business. We can't talk about metaphysics or spirituality or energy because some of our clients are going to think that's woo-woo, right? So it's like, how do we find that balance? And that's why I call it bridging the East and the West. However, what Phil is doing, he's really tying into the colors in our energy centers, which is phenomenal. It ties in with the joy and the passions and all this other stuff. So that's a whole nother hangout we're going to have.
Okay.
We are. And but it's wonderful. And I just want people to listen to Phil and his energy. It's infectious. His body language is infectious. His smile, all these things mean something. When you see someone's face, you either instantly love them or maybe even hate them and you have no idea why. It's an energy thing. Some people may say I'm hyper. I'm just a very passionate being. That's who I am, right? And so I also realize that I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. And I think it's something I'd love you to talk to, because you were talking about owning ourselves, owning our bodies. And I'd love for you to talk on the point of being okay with with realizing that not everybody is our client, and then that's okay.
Yeah. So the easiest way that I can explain it is if you think about Facebook. Facebook is a world, if you will. It's got, somewhere between 3 and 6 billion people that use it. Lots and lots of people, depending on the day, right? Depending on the survey. But just for easy numbers, let's say it has 1 billion people. Okay, 1 billion people. Do you really think for even a minute that 1 billion people are going to like you? Do you think that even 1 billion people could possibly do business with you? Now, if you say, well, my product or service is for everybody, here's how I'm going to prove to you that it's not. I want you to pick up the yellow pages. Yep, old thing, and look for the everybody section. There isn't one. There's no advertising there. Now, you want to go online, go to facebook.com/ads and place an ad for your product or service to the entire Facebook universe. How expensive is that, right? Because you're trying to reach 1 billion with a B people. Holy crap. Now, there's no way that you can. What do they like? What gender are they? Where do they live? What colors do they like? What words do they like? What kind of education do they have? You can't possibly know. So I want you to niche this down. I want you to niche down, pick a zip code. Let's say the 90210 zip code, Beverly Hills, right? And let's say women who are left-handed, who like the color yellow, who also have liked the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We probably are now down to a universe of, let's say, 1,000 people. Do we know now more about them? Absolutely. And how much does that cost to reach those 1,000 people? Maybe because it's an affluent zip code, maybe a lot. So maybe we have to narrow that down even more. Women who are also married, who also have children, who have been married several times, who also have liked Zappos.com. So now we've narrowed it down even more. Now we've got 20 people, let's say, that we can target. We know enough about them that it's like you're having a conversation with just those 20 people. And if your product or service, if that's your target, everything you say, if you stay on brand, if you stay on message, is relevant. It's no longer advertising. Same with people liking you. I can tell you that not everybody likes me. Some people think I'm weird because I wear bright colors. I have some people, because I'm positive and I look for the good every day, they think I'm a Pollyanna. I have people that, because I read mostly business books and I don't watch TV, that I'm boring. Okay, that's great. I have a girlfriend. I'm in a great relationship and I'm very happy with it. I just had to convince one person that, I'm great. And really, I didn't convince her. She convinced herself. We don't really convince anybody. So think about that. Narrow that down. One person. Now, I bet, and I probably shouldn't say this too loud, right? She's in the other room. But there's probably, 2 or 3 other people in the world that might also be okay for me. So if she, decides that she wants to, move somewhere else, and please don't do that, right? I'm very happy with her, but I'm just saying, right? So that's likely because they have similar characteristics. May not be as happy in some ways, happier in others, whatever the heck it is, right? And this is no, again, reflection on my relationship, but I'm just saying for business, it's the same way. If there's a customer, you got somebody just like them. Now, if you're too niche, right? If you're only serving 3 people, that's too much niche. But most of the time, right, we have 1,000 people or even 50 people, and then we can do people that look like them and change one of the variables. Oh, so now they don't have to be left-handed. Oh, okay. Now they don't have to have green eyes. Okay. Now they don't have to like that TV show, right? And that's how I approach it. And that's really what I try to teach. A, it's cheaper. B, it's real life. And C, it's possible. Right? That's the important thing. It is possible to talk to 20 people like you know them well, if you have enough characteristics and if you do know them well.
So that goes to, I'm going to tie it all back in a little bow here, is when we over diversify. So we go to a zillion different platforms and we're trying to preach the choir to literally like all these platforms and all these diversity of people. And I agree with the fact that getting too niche can be a disservice then, because it's so micro-focused that you actually lose a lot of business because there is peripheral within even micro. And if you get too wide of a spectrum, people have no clue what to actually come to you for. Now, and in some cases, some people might have 2 or 3 businesses, and that also can get kind of tricky. because I play heavily in the production world, and when I'm producing and directing, I do a lot of that with charities and organizations and indies and that type of nature. I do a huge segment in my world with speakers and authors, so I'm doing a lot of what we were talking about a lot, which is the social media and branding and launching and stuff like that, right? And then I totally ingrained in my world is my metaphysical world. And I've always had that literally next to me my entire journey through the business world as well. So I encourage you to make sure that your message it does say what you do. Like on my banner, it does say bridging the East and the West. So people are clear that I'm going to be talking to a lawyer, and I'm not going to bring up the chakra colors and metaphysics. Yet I know underneath it all that when I'm dealing with a client, a lot of stuff that isn't working is tied into other stuff that actually, by the way, usually is related to that. So when one thing's out of whack, the other's out of whack. So let's make sure your message is synced. In other words, people know what you do, and don't be so micro and don't be so macro. Yeah. So yeah, it can be kind of funny because there's people that do wear multiple hats, and they don't just have one stream of income or one source. And then they're trying to manage 10 different websites and 10 different companies, or it could be even 3. So I encourage everyone to have one main website, and on that one main website, you have your portals. So people know how they can play with you, because there's a lot of JVing out there, and you may have more than one business partner.
Yeah. And the key though is alignment with your core, right? Because you can do multiple things, but you really it comes back to, does this align with who I want to serve, with who I serve best, and with where I want to be? Because those are so important of questions. I mean, working with some groups of people is definitely more difficult than working with other groups. If you don't like them, it doesn't matter how much people pay you, it's going to shine through that this is not a perfect fit. So I want to encourage you, think about that, take that to heart, and really think about, are these the right people? You know, my buddy Steve Farber has this awesome quote, and this is how I try to live my business. And that is, the key is to do what you love in the service of those who love what you do. And that means you're doing what you love. That's great. And on the other end, it's those people who love what you do. You know, that's great. So you're doing stuff you love, and people love it and love what you do. But the key for me and for most of us is in the middle, in the service of. How is this of service to the universe, to the world? And that's not woo-woo. I want you to think that's your audience. How are you serving them? You know, what are you giving them? And understand, sometimes it's money. That's okay, right? You might be growing their business. That's awesome. That's service. But the service could also be you're ministering to their home life. You might be ministering to their family, right? The fact that you're helping them earn money, often they're not after money itself. They're after what money brings. So know that that's your service, and understand that, because then when you ask questions about, like, so why is this important to you? Why does this matter? And they give you some BS answer of, you know, I just need to make another $20,000 more a month for this or that. Why are you doing that? Why does that matter? Oh, because now you can serve 100,000 more people. Aha. Now we understand. Now that's the focus, right? So let's take the focus off the dollars. Let's move it to how you're serving, and let's make that happen. So I love Farber for that. That's my favorite quote in the world.
You brought up 2 things that I'm really passionate about. One, I want really emphasize, and I want you to listen to what he said. Know your clients, know the message. However, that all ties back to authenticity, integrity, values. You need to live within your integrity, your values, and your authenticity. When you do that, then that puts the energy out of the like of type of clients. And yes, law of attraction can be considered woo-woo. I do believe that it also requires actionable steps. So it's not just like, oh, I put the beam out and it arrives. You put the beam out, you take the action steps to then implement, right? If you don't stay within your ethics and your values and your authenticity, you're going to lose the mark, right? So like he's saying, I want you to hear what he said also about the money. It can't just be about the money, because the reality is if you're just doing it for the money, those values, those ethics, that core is gone. And you're dealing with clients that you don't like, and then resentment spills in. And once resentment spills in, it's really hard to go back to what may have began as a friendship or as a good thing. So make sure that, like you said, be in your passion. Tie into that. Think about write down, what are your values? What are your ethics? What is your core of who you are? Make that message be also the type of clients you want to draw in. You want your clients to have similar, not identical, similar values, similar ethics, because you want to work with someone who isn't ethical, right? Or you could be butting heads with all the time. So think beyond the dollar. Dollars are great. We're in a society that right now the currency is dollars, it's dinero, right? We pay for services. We're not in barter land right now. However, realize too that what you do is the ripple effect, right? How we interact with people is the ripple effect, and what comes back to you in that ripple effect by your actions and your core values and your ethics. And I know you get that.
Yeah,
so I know you're
absolutely.
that has very high, I think some people are like, will say to you as well as I, oh, there's no way you can be happy all this time. That's just a facade. That's just fake. That's not who you are. And the reality is that no matter what I'm going through, surgery number 39 or 40 or whatever the hell it is, I have to have that mindset, because if I don't have that mindset, I'm going to be a really bitchy, like really, I'm going to be in pain. I'm not, and my recovery is going to be longer. So why put myself through that? Doesn't mean, it may not mean that, in the moment, I may be having some pain. I may be a little bit depressed in that moment. It doesn't mean that is who I am. I need to step above that. I need to rise above that. So do you and I have meltdowns? We have fights with friends? Do we do something that isn't ethical because, we're in a space? We all have those issues. We're human. The difference, I think, is that you and I are just very hyper-conscious on ourselves. We're hyper-conscious of being within our ethics, our values, and our core, and who we choose to play with.
Yeah, the one thing I would add to that is it's not about just saying everything is wonderful. Let's be clear, right? It's not about lying to yourself. If you're going through hell, you're going through hell. But it's also about being grateful for what you have. Really important, right? Practice that gratitude muscle, a muscle that needs practice every single day, first and most important. And secondly, it's understanding that you'll get through this. Like tomorrow is another day. So far, I've made it 42 years in about 3 months. Okay. I'm going to probably make it till tomorrow. And if I don't, guess what? There's nothing I can do about it. So just know that, today might suck, tomorrow might suck, might suck for a week, but it will get better eventually. It always does, and that's the thing. And better is a mindset, right? Because better does not mean better than you're doing. It's better than I was yesterday. And we have to focus on that. Now, I can tell you, it's easy to lose focus. What was me? Hey, that's easy. That's easy to do, right? Whining about everything, that's easy. It takes much more conscious attention to choose to say, wow, this isn't so bad. This could be a lot worse. Here's what I'm grateful for. So I would just say, again, not about pretending that things are great. It's about shifting your focus and being conscious.
Well, there's an actual phrase. For example, we get feedback. We have two choices to that feedback. We can get defensive, so we can react, or we can take the information in, contemplate it, and respond. So everything is a choice. How we choose to react, how we choose to be, how we choose to have something affect us, it's all a choice. So in that moment of choice, you have the choice to, I stubbed my toe and let me ruin that day, or I stubbed my toe and now on to the next thing. So it, like you said, it is a mindset. It's a mind shift. It's a mind focus. So every single moment of our life is a choice point. And that choice point creates the ripple effect of the rest of your day, or the rest of your year, or the rest of your month, or however you want to look at it. There's something to be said why the statement of, live day by day has talk about this, why it's so important. Because if you're living day by day and you can be in the moment to moment, you can do and make better choices. When we're all the way in the future or all the way in the past, we're in the past, we're coming from really self-sabotaging and self-judgment and critical and defensiveness and hurt and wounds, right? And if you're in the future, you have all these other unconscious stories that come up. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. It's never going to happen. Well, if you focus on where you are and you go, okay, these are the outcomes I do want, and this is where I am now. Let me put in a blueprint or a system to get there. Then you have something to focus on, right?
Yeah. And that system, right? That we'll come back to that, because I think that's a good place, to kind of recenter ourselves. Do we have a system for a good day? Do we know what that looks like? Right? Because if we do, right, if we know that when we take a walk, we have a better day. If we're having a bad day, go take a walk. Now, they're not directly correlated. That's not what I'm trying to suggest. But I am suggesting that if something brings you joy yesterday, it may bring you joy tomorrow. It might bring you joy right now. If exercising gives you more energy and your day is depleted of energy, might I suggest trying to go exercise, right? So it's just something to think about, because I really think if we, that's why we practice gratitude, right? I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful, that this morning I got up and I got, 20 minutes on the Stairmaster. It's all I had time for today, but I'm grateful for that. And so I know that, I got 20 minutes yesterday. I had some energy. That was good. So now maybe tomorrow, maybe I do 40 minutes, maybe get more energy, but maybe 60 minutes, now I'm tired again. So I look back, right? You have that system for what works. Or, here's how I follow up on my business. This is what works, and it takes 10 times. So when I get discouraged at 6, I'm like, well, Phil, it usually takes you 10 times. So don't get discouraged at 6, dude. Press on. Keep going. 7, 8, and 9, right? We just need a couple more, and sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. But if I have a system that I can fall back on, now, right, it helps me stay in perspective, stay in the present.
Something I want to touch upon too that you said that's really important, we're talking about systems and blueprints and all this stuff, is that you just mentioned, well, today I had 20 minutes. That's all I had time for. So you had a choice. The choice was not to do anything, none. I'm not even going to do 20 minutes, or I'm going to do 20 minutes. I think too many times we're in this like illusion of the constant perpetual time crunch. I'm too busy. I don't have time. Is any benefit. It may be that you get up in the morning and only read for 15 minutes, and the next day maybe that you could get to read for 20 minutes, or the next day you get to do it for 30. Don't not do a good behavior or a good habit in lieu of that. It's not going to maximize the time that you want. Whatever that time that you get in is important, because that creates the habit that the next day it may be 5 more minutes, and then one day it may be 15 minutes, or whatever that is. And I'm not talking about just about exercise. I'm talking about all of our life, everything that we do in life, whether it be that, our emails, our education, our health, our eating, everything's a choice point. Don't just go poo-pooing it because I don't have X amount of time, right? What time you do have allotted for that, get some of it in there. So you start creating that habit. And then you can start micromanaging your time better when you start to see, hey, this happens here. I got this going on here. And you can actually start looking at the time that you do have and how you most effectively want to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Comes back to values and systems all the time.
Always. So I'd like for you to wrap this up, because, you and I mean, we're already, going in here, and I don't like to make them so long because, I value people's time, and you and I could talk forever and ever. So why don't you wrap it up and tie things back into systems and some last minute tips and tools or resources that you'd love to share? Sure.
So I think, first of all, don't overcomplicate technology. Simple is better. If you have a moleskin and a pen, you have enough tools. Certainly there are tools that help make it easier to share, but truly don't overcomplicate. That's the first thing. Second, let technology serve you. Don't be technology's master. If it's not working, get training or give it up. Third, focus on your audience. Who are you serving? How are you serving them? Bring it back to Farber's quote, right? Do what you love in the service of those who love what you do. If you can focus on them, even if you're having a really crappy day, and you think of one of those pieces, I'm doing what I love. Even if the outcome isn't great, that's awesome. If I'm serving people, that's fantastic. If I'm loved by the people that I'm serving, that's awesome too. And if I can bring them all together, holy crap, that's an amazing day. So that's third. And then the last thing I would say is, and this is the point that you made, and I really love this, is don't give up on a habit that's good for you just because you don't have the maximum time. 5 minutes of exercising is better than 0 minutes. Take 20 minutes, take 5 minutes, take any time that you have, even if it's just going to the gym, opening the door and like, crap, I got to go. Build that habit, build that muscle. And I would tell you the best muscle you can build is your gratitude muscle. So take some time every day and be grateful. Even if it's just one thing that you can be grateful for, write it down, put it in your head, and make it real, because that gratitude muscle, the next time that you're really down, the next time that business flops, and it'll happen, it will be there and it'll be strong and you can rely on it. That's what I'd close with.
Awesome. I encourage people to take it one step further with the gratitude. I have found when I have clients do gratitude journals, I have them get like a micro little, tiny little, thing you can put in your purse or your pocket. And when they're someplace or something happens and they're in that moment, gratitude, write it down. And so it's like you said, when you're down, you can actually open up that little book and go, wow, look at all the things I've actually written that I'm actually grateful for. So that's a really great tool, the gratitude journal. And it doesn't have to be a big journal. It can be a tiny little, whatever. Then you can transcribe it to a bigger one if you want to make it something like a book that you can look at later. And then the other thing is, the last thing I want to tie in was, he said, okay, if you have 5 minutes. They actually have studies showing that. Let's say I did 5 minutes in the morning. And then at lunchtime, I got up and did another 5 minutes. I maybe did like 5 minutes of stairs. And then in the evening when I came back, I did the same thing I did. That actually is 15 minutes. It's an accumulative effect. So don't give up on those 5 minutes. Just like look at your day. And there actually studies also show that if it is actually good to take 5 minutes in between, throughout the day to, go up and down stairs, to get out of your chair, to go for like a walk around the block. It clears your head. It unclutters you. You can think better. You get clearer. So these are just lots of little things that you can do. That it doesn't mean that if you don't have that 30 minutes next, no, I have 5 minutes here, and then after this hangout, I'm gonna go take a walk because we've been on the hangout for however long, right? So just find those little moments and use those moments wisely, and you'll find the more and more you do that, you'll be like, oh wow, I'm really looking forward to that walk. Hey, I'm really looking forward to reading that chapter today because it's gonna give me inspiration. Feed your mind, body, spirits, soul, business. You have to feed all those things. They're all interrelated. We're all interconnected. So use your entire body, your beautiful body, your beautiful brain, treat it the way you want it. You want others to treat you. Feed it good things. Get it fresh air. Feed your mind with amazing mentors and, take courses. Just do things. Enrich yourself. And I'm off my soapbox now. This will go on forever. Anyways, I want you to share with everyone where they can find you, because you're all over the internet like I am. I want you to say your name, spell it, jump up and down for joy, and tell everyone where they can find you.
So the easiest thing is to think of Phil Gerb, Philgerb. You can Google that. You can find me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I'm trying out Peach now. I'm on all the networks. Pick your favorite network. Look for me. I'm Phil Gerb. Real easy. PhilGerbyshak.com. PhilGerbyshak.com. PhilGerb.com will get you there too. But yeah, I'm Phil Gerbyshak. I'm in Tampa, Florida. So if you're close, love to get together with you. Love coffee and love to hang out and connect with smart people. So if you're watching this show, I'm sure you're a smart person, or you're listening, or however you're consuming this, you're someone that I'd like to talk to, love to get to meet. So feel free and reach out and let me know how I can help.
I encourage you to reach out to him, because Phil is he's got such a good heart. He's got really good knowledge. He'll help you in any way he can. He's just wonderful. And I'm always just jazzed to be able to have a conversation with him. You've been with your host, Carly Alyssa Thorne, and like Phil, you can find me all over the internet at carlyalyssatthorne.com. That's CarlYALYSSATHORNE.com. I wish everyone a magical, wonderful day. Do something good for yourself and others. Be grateful. Think of the ripple effect, and go out there and have a beautiful day. That's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.